Hello and welcome to today's Fairygodboss live webinar. We are excited to have all of you join us for this really, really interesting conversation. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to connect and settle in. And while we're waiting, we'd love to know where everyone is tuning in from today. So you'll see on the right side of your screen, there's a chat box. And if you feel comfortable doing so, please send a message in the chat saying, hey, and where you're tuning in from so that we can see where everyone is coming in. I am currently in New York City, and I'm seeing a few people tuning in slowly but surely. So just say, hey, come on in, join us. And as you do, I'd also like to introduce myself. I'm Eloise Aone. I am a leadership coach with Fairygodboss, and I'll be moderating today's conversation. I see people coming in from Canada, upstate New York, southeast Wisconsin. I love the specificity there. Massachusetts. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And for those of you who don't know, Fairygodboss is the largest online career community for women. We have millions of women visit Fairygodboss for several things: for career connections, for finding jobs, for finding a career coach, for tapping into the community for advice, finding hard to find intel about how companies actually treat women on a day-to-day basis, and of course, also virtual events like this one. And before we get started, there are two things I'd like to quickly share with all of you. First, this session is going to be recorded and shared via email with all registrants. So check your email after this so that you can rewatch this video and share it with anyone who you think might be interested as well. And then during the discussion, we would really love to hear from you. So I see all of you sharing where you're coming in from today, but you can also use the stage chat where you're typing that in to send messages and comments. And specifically, what you'll see right next to the word chat is Q&A. You can click on that to send specific questions to the panelists today. So please ask your questions there as you think of them, and we're going to come to that list and answer as many questions as we can throughout our hour together. Great. So now I'm excited to officially kick off today's event, Women Shaping the Future of STEM, sponsored by Enovis. And I'm thrilled to be joined by three leaders at Enovis: Aly Robicheaux, Suneethi Gudapati, and Disha Mac. I want to give each of you a minute to introduce yourselves. We'd love to hear what's going on for you in your life personally and professionally, and then also, of course, what you do in your role today at Enovis. Disha, I'd love to start with you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Disha. I am Senior Manager of PMO here at Enovis. I'm very excited to be here. I have about more than a decade experience in the medical device industry. And I'm looking forward to sharing my experience with you guys and answering some of the wonderful questions that you send my way. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And Suneethi?
Yes, my name is Suneethi Gudapati. I'm Vice President for R&D in Enovis, bracing and support specifically. And I span over 20 years. I don't want to date myself here. So over 20 years of experience, varied in different fields, anywhere from semiconductor industry to medical device and food service equipment. I also ran my own business in between for Sub-Zero ice cream. I know ice cream sounds exciting, but I'm very excited to be here to share my journey and my path. And I do believe that what STEM experiences I have learned during the path and the process, they're all about adaptability and curiosity. which is what we'll talk more about today. Thank you, Anita.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I look forward to that. And last but not least, Aly.
Hi, everyone. I am Aly Robicheaux. I am located in Austin, Texas, and I'm currently the Senior Engineering Manager on the new product development side of our surgical business for upper extremities. So, working on total joint replacements, mainly total shoulder replacement design. I have actually had the opportunity to be with Enovis for over 12 years now, and so have had the opportunity to go through many different product launches over the years, and also been a huge proponent of female engineers. And actually, my team currently is over 50% female, which is a great to see and amazing. We love to hear. And definitely looking forward to any questions that you guys have today. And definitely love this topic and very passionate about it.
Yeah, thank you, Aly. So thank you all. I'm really excited about the conversation today. I know that everyone else tuning in is as well. As Aly just said, for those of you who are just tuning in now, please ask your questions today in that Q&A tab on the right side of your screen. We're going to try to get to as many of those as possible. We want this to be a conversation as much as a presentation today. So we look forward to seeing those come in. Aly, I'd like to actually start with you in this conversation. You shared a little bit about your time, how long you've been, and different things that you've done at Enovis. Can you tell us a little bit more about your career journey prior to your current role at Enovis, and then really what led you to work in orthopedics at STEM?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually come from an oil family. My dad is also a mechanical engineer. And so now since retired, but spent his whole career in the oil industry. I always excelled in math and science. That was definitely a key piece in my education. And so naturally going to college, I chose to also pursue mechanical engineering. However, I took a little bit of a different route, not only being a little stubborn, but wanting to pave my own way and not kind of follow in my dad's footsteps. I really had an interest in the medical space. So I grew up playing competitive soccer, and so sports were always a part of everything throughout my younger years. And I had the opportunity while I was in college to do multiple internships with medical device companies, which I am a huge proponent of. As you are figuring out whether you're in your beginning stages of your career, a huge proponent of. We have a big co-op program here at Enovis on the surgical side. And so I had the opportunity to do that in the medical device space. Now, having a background in sports, I really loved mechanics. And that's where Enovis and the surgical division really ended up being where I kind of had an inclination towards, which was orthopedics. And that's where I've ended up today, and ended up, before coming into the workspace, doing a master's in bioengineering. So to get a little bit more of a foundation work from my mechanical engineering degree. And now, since graduating from grad school, I have actually been at Enovis. So started out at the bottom doing special instruments and custom implant design, knowing that I really wanted to kind of move into a different role and really focus on the design side and very more specialized subject matter expertise. And now I've had the opportunity to work in upper extremities for quite a few years, and have my own team as well, which has been a great career progression. I do not have as many years as the other two, but have had the opportunity to experience lots of different things over the years, and work with amazing orthopedic surgeons, which definitely make my job easier on a daily basis.
But that's great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What I love is that no career journey is the same. I mean, I'm sure anyone here today or on your extensive teams, would share the same story. So that's inspiring, because it means that there's no one way to get to the success that you've had and that you're continuing to have today, Aly, right? So thank you for sharing that. Suneethi, I'm curious, I see you nodding along here. I'm curious, what advice would you give to women who are entering STEM fields today, especially in areas where female representation is still growing?
Yes, absolutely. I think that is one of the hardest things, as women are entering more and more, would like to see a lot more. And I closely work with a lot of universities also to kind of mentor and coach them. I would say primarily own your voice. What do I mean by that? Don't wait to feel like someone would be coming to you for an advice. Don't be afraid to speak up. That diversity that you bring into the meetings, into the conferences, anything you go, that is the key, because that makes people think twice, what they're doing, and no idea is bad or good. Just speak up. I know when I started my career, I was hesitant. I was like, I'm the only female in the room. Should I not, And but after all these years, I would say just speak up. Be yourself. Have a voice, and that makes it powerful. Secondly, also build your network. Seek mentors. Seek your advocates who are in the industry, who are going to help you. You need advocates in order to be able to build your career. And that is the only way you grow. There is no other shortcuts to it. And they'll also advise you with all the years of experience. And there's several good mentors and uh, sponsors for you. And they don't have to be women, they can be men too. Oftentimes that helps you. Lastly, embrace continuous learning, which is key. In STEM, as you can see, it changes like no tomorrow. Every year you have different growth things. I mean, from Chat GPT to even when the computer started way back in 1990s, early 2000s. So just embrace that, learn, have that continuous improvement thought process. Those three, I think, would really help you get to the next level, is my thoughts.
Yeah. Speak up,
Yes.
find mentors, and always be learning, right?
Mm.
Yes, absolutely. And when you look around, Suneethi, and you're looking at the women who are here with us today, and the
Yeah.
other women who are at Enovis with you and beyond in your larger community in STEM, how are you seeing women specifically reshaping the field of orthopedics and STEM?
I think women bring unique perspectiveness. I genuinely believe in that, because they really help with shaping innovation and ideation. Women, for example, if I were to think about orthopedics, they think about comfort, they think about patient comfort, they think about what is it that really drives the varied age group, varied diversity, and all the different aspects that a lot of our counterparts do not think. That is what is important, because you cannot just focus on just yourself, or missing that important equation which we had historically. But now, with bringing women into the forefront, we are actually getting more information of what matters to common people that are using our braces and everything else. How do we really impact that change and challenge all the assumptions we have been building our braces on? That's what I think we can make an impact on.
Yeah. True innovation, finding that the solutions uh, to the future problems and to the current problems that we're not already
Correct.
focusing on, right? Which is, to your initial point, all the more important to speak up
Yes.
quickly, speak up soon, shape the conversations rather than wait to just contribute, which I love that was what you started with. Yeah. Aly, I'd love to come to you and hear a little bit about what the trends or innovations that we just spoke about are that excite you most about the future of STEM. Like, what are you looking at these days that gets you really, really excited?
Yeah, I think there's two pieces to the answer to this question. The first piece is absolutely the increase in the females in the workforce in STEM in general. We're coming off of one of our biggest shoulder congresses this past couple of weeks, and Enovis had the opportunity to sponsor a women in orthopedics talk as well. And one of the key pieces that came out of that I took was that, you know, we don't need to be the same as our male counterparts. We as females bring something else to the table and have our own things. So we need to capitalize that instead of trying to just climb the chain and fit in and do exactly what our male counterparts do. So I'll throw that in a little as it's something that recently happened and really touched me as something that we really do as females need to focus on. So that is definitely trending. At least we're seeing orthopedic surgeons, there's even more females, which has been great because that's who we're working with on a daily basis, but also in our own teams, seeing more female engineers as well. But I think on the innovation side, this is where the excitement comes in of I work on the metals and what we call metals and plastics side of the surgical business. And technology is definitely a key factor. We're on the very beginning stages of things like virtual reality, augmented reality. And I'm very excited to see how the industry progresses and what we can really do. And females have a huge part of that as well. But it's definitely, you know, we're just on the forefront and there is a lot to learn. And just like Suneethi said earlier, we are constantly learning. If you think that you are not going to continue to learn on in your throughout your career, then you're probably not doing the correct things because we are constantly learning on a daily basis. And that's what keeps it exciting. Absolutely. So very excited to see where more of the technology, future advancements in technologies will have a fit in this industry.
Yeah. So much ahead, so much constantly moving in that innovation and then the changes ahead. Disha, I'd love to hear your perspective on this. You know, what are the trends and innovations that excite you most about the future of STEM?
Yeah, Ali kind of touched on it, but one of the trends that I appreciate right now is AI and the availability of data at our fingertips, right? I mean, I remember like scouring through journals, research papers to complete assignments in school, but now you just have so much information that can be dissected, that can be summarized instantly. And in addition, we have like, immersive learning tools, we have AI tutors, gamified platforms, all of this is going to transform how students learn in STEM and experience STEM. So it makes, connecting different ideas from different fields more accessible and which will unlock creativity in STEM. And for the space that I work in, which is prevention and recovery, specifically bracing and supports, I look to AI and I look to predictive analytics, how it's changing patient recovery experience. So with the availability of sensors, right, and with the availability of computer vision systems, you can now capture so much information. You can capture like gait analysis, joint ankles, muscle activity, and you can use machine learning to kind of detect if there are abnormal patterns. This is going to optimize how we monitor, how we sort of collect the data from the patient, how we can optimize design and kind of learn from it, right? So a patient recovery experience, back in the day, it was captured in small little snapshots whenever you go to the clinic, and that's it. But now that data is continuous, it's live, it's objective, and you can make assessments, you can get that information in a continuous way, which I think is just going to transform as we learn and grow more in this field.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many exciting things. I mean, so many of you have, all of you have touched upon, right? More inclusive environments, innovation, things like machine learning, AI, the access you have to information, and everything else in the pipeline for women in this space. Uh, we have several questions that have come in from our audience, which are wonderful. And I'd love to pull one in now that feels very much it fits really well into this conversation right here. And it's from Mia. And anyone who would like to answer this, just unmute yourself and let's dive into the conversation. Mia asks, what strategies have you seen work best for creating inclusive, supportive environments in technical or male-dominated fields? We've touched upon this a little bit. I'm interested in hearing what's your initial reaction to this, and what's worked for you?
I would go back to speak up. I have seen that oftentimes as women, we do not. And I've also seen that when women do speak up, they're brushed off. And I have personally been seeing that more and more. When you're the only woman in the room, they come up with an idea, male counterparts brush it off. And then how do you then stand up for yourself? You have to be stern. You have to reinforce that. If you have another female leader, hopefully that female leader has caught it, or some other male partner, your sponsor, your mentor, would have caught it and said, hey, stop. This idea was already put forward by XYZ. So it is very important that we start speaking up. And we are limiting our own scope in saying that we are going to stop ourselves. Speak up, and having mentor and sponsor are the key.
And I'd love to dive a little bit deeper on that, Suneethi, because it's such good advice, and yet it's so hard, right?
Yes.
Even when we have a seat at the table,
Yes.
and we are sitting there and we have earned it, it can be really, really difficult to actually put ourselves out there and speak up. Can you think back to a moment, even today or earlier in your career, or any of you, where you've hesitated and then you overcame that? What did you do in that moment to actually insert yourself and be heard in that moment?
Let me give Aly and Disha an opportunity instead of me just hogging it over.
Yeah, I can chime in here. I think there's been many different times. I'm not known for someone who will not speak up in certain situations, but I think it took time, and it's not something that you're going to be comfortable with in the very beginning of your career. It takes time. So don't get down on certain situations. As you get more confident and have a better understanding of the work that you do on a daily basis, you definitely build that confidence. But you have to go outside of your comfort zone. And I've had the opportunity to manage quite a few a wide variety of different engineers who are both extremely quiet from the very beginning, and those who are more coming in a little bit more confident and more what you would call is a little bit louder. Um, but but you have to build them up and build their confidence and understand how your employees work differently. Each of your employees are very different. So it's on us as managers to make sure that we work with them independently. And it may be as something as such as a public speaking course that will help and be beneficial to them. And for other people, it may just be on the job experience and putting them into opportunities. And so it's definitely on us as female leaders to help, but also know it's a process, and it takes time to really build our voice and feel comfortable, um it, to be able to speak up in those situations.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, Aly. And I would just like to add to that, there are two ways. As you said, there are two ways to build confidence. First, yes, it's gaining the knowledge, making sure you know what we're talking about, right? Like building some knowledge base, even if it is limited at this point and you're learning from others, but kind of doing the work, right? And then second is that, okay, confidence is built regardless of self doubt. It's taking action regardless of self doubt. Self doubt will always be there, but the confidence comes from taking action and making progress. And I couldn't agree more. I think as managers and even within project management, just doing a simple roundtable like, hey, what do you think? Making sure everyone feels included and making sure their voices are heard and empowering others. I think it is on us to encourage that.
Yeah. What I love that I'm hearing is that you're all saying, ladies, you're not alone, right? Like we're all here. And I'm really getting that feeling on this call with all of you, which is just so wonderful. And Disha, I'd like to go a little further here. We're talking about speaking. We're talking about getting your voice out there and being heard as quickly as possible in a career. And as Aly said, it takes time, but you have to start early in order to build those skills and earn that space, right? But beyond that, the larger thing that I think often comes up for people is imposter syndrome, right? That term, right? It's so real for so many people in the world in so many different circumstances. And I can only imagine it's even more present for people who are for women, I should say, in a male dominated work environment. So, do you have anything to add to what you just said? Uh, on what helped you, perhaps, if you did struggle with that or something similar to imposter syndrome, how did you build that confidence, especially in the moments that required a really healthy dose of it in order to keep moving and keep going forward?
Yeah, that's a very meaningful question, and challenge that a lot of us face, even high achieving professionals, right? Everyone at some point faces that, and I'm not alone in that. There are some mindset shifts, maybe practical strategies that have helped me personally and that I can kind of relate to. And the first one is reminding yourself of your small wins, project outcomes, of kind words that colleagues have shared with you and that you've accumulated over the years. And we need to kind of ground ourselves in facts, not feelings. So having like a trail of these accomplishments, no matter how big, no matter how small, and reminding that there are patterns of competence there that you've built for yourselves. And the other thing is, I know Suneethi touched on this in the beginning, is that having mentors, having allies that can champion you, when you undersell yourself, when you have self doubt, and also to help you with, give you some advice on overcoming weaknesses that could help you. And I think mentorship, a lot of us in the early stages of our career don't really pay as much attention to it, but we should. It's building that network, it's talking to as many people as you can. And okay, I resonate with this person, and I've worked with them, and I want to build on this relationship, and having them point to our strengths and weaknesses, so we have that confidence in knowing that, yes, I recognize this as well. And then, as I was saying in the beginning, kind of reframing what competence looks like, right? Like, what I mean by that is usually we have a tendency to compare ourselves with others, which can bring self doubt. And we need to remind ourselves that, yes, you need to take action, and that will build confidence despite that self-doubt, as I was saying. And feeling like an imposter does not mean that you are one. It means that you deeply care about what that you do well, and giving it your best effort. So I think reframing, mentorship, and kind of relying on facts, that has helped me, and I hope others can relate to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. What I love that keep coming up and all the nods and smiles that I'm seeing, anyone who's not speaking on the screen is really engaged and agrees, right? That we're all in it together. Like we always say it takes a village to raise a family, or it takes a village to create it's the same thing here, right? We cannot act as individuals in a silo in order to be successful in a career. And what I love that I hear, and again, the engagement that you all have, is we have to know how to ask for that help, and ask soon, right, Disha? I think you're so right. We don't get mentors soon enough in a career. And so, speaking of which, I would love to hear, perhaps, Aly, from you. uh, how has mentorship and networking played a role specifically in your career, did you have a mentor early on? When did you build that kind of relationship, and how has it helped you?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think Disha hit it spot on. Early on in my career, it was very heavily more based on, I would say, the technical side of just trying to gain knowledge, not really understanding like growth and how important mentorship and networking is from a growth and where your career is going to go. So it was very much more. I had a great mentor who has since been retired, but it was really a technical mentorship, and I still look back and that was a huge part of my career. But as I've progressed in my career, it's really expanded, and something that I heavily put talk to about with my team as well, it's finding mentorship in different aspects of your career, whether it's personal or a certain situation that you're struggling to get through, or even stuff that happens with your team. It's finding who you're comfortable with and able to have those conversations. And it's not always the same person. So you have to go outside of your comfort zone and really figure out and have those conversations. Um, I laughed because I was with some surgeons this past weekend, and one of the comments was, "You're not a stereotypical engineer," and the reality is we really are not. We're not sitting at the computer all day. We may be on calls a majority of the time, but we're communicating, we're talking, and a huge piece of that is networking and talking to others, talking to surgeons, talking to the sales force, talking to our team and vendors, consultants, partners. And that's a huge piece that helps you grow in your career. And it's both sides of that have been so important to where I am today. I still consider myself to be on the younger side. I like to think of a female manager, especially in the R&D space, which is very heavily male dominated. And I like to take a different flair to it, and having those mentors has been a key piece of what I do. And one shout out I at least can say from the Enovis side is I walk outside of my door of my office in the actual office, and I have multiple females that are strong female partners, and we have known each other for many years, and those are the people that I can lean on and have support from. And so that has been a huge piece of getting me through the tough times, because the reality is that not every day is easy. You're going to have conflict, and you're going to have to work through it, and you have to lean on those people. So early on, finding people you connect with is really going to help you succeed in your career.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So actionable and so real, and so just so real. I I'd love to piggyback off of this conversation and hear from each of you briefly. When you think about the steps you've taken, the shifts in your career, whether it's a more responsibility or being brought onto a project that was important to you, or uh, getting a raise, what is it that actually helped you do that? Was it having the right mentors vouching for you? Was it the networking, as Ali was just speaking about, and having the right connections? Was it just putting your head down and doing the good work and showing those outputs? Is it a mix of all of those? When you think about patterns in your career that's helped you take on those new and exciting steps, what was at the heart of that success? Can you just each of you share a little bit about what comes to mind for that? Yeah.
I think for me, it is a mix of everything. I have seen in the career early on when I had my head down, did my work, did a great work at what I did, at least I call that myself. And yet the growth didn't come. Nobody would recognize. You're always kind of put at the bottom. Yeah, she did it, but someone else is taking the credit for what you're doing because you're not speaking up, saying, "This is my job, my work, I'm doing it." Because I'm technically strong, I did a great work, but still not recognized. Then I also, as the career went along, I said, this is not working. Let me see what I can do. Then I started speaking up, saying, hey, this is my idea, this is my thing. At a certain point, that helps. You can grow. But having that ally, that mentor, that person who is going to advocate for you is very important. Generally, I always tell this to all my team members that you need to have a ally or an advocate for you 2 levels above your grade.
Mm.
That is the only way it works. If you go immediate next level, it just is hard because they don't have a big voice. You need someone higher at the table. You set them up as mentor. You are afraid to send an email. I know early in my career, I was like, oh my God, that's Chief Operating Officer of Philips. How can I even think about it? Send an email. You'll be surprised how many people would be actually coming to the table to help you grow. You have to do your hard work, don't get me wrong, but follow that with a good ally, advocate, mentor, and speaking up. I would say
Mm.
all of them have to come together.
Mm.
But Ali and Disha, go ahead.
Sure, I can go next. Absolutely. I agree with everything that was just said. Um, I think the piece of it is it's hard sometimes to speak up, and we have to, no matter, there's so many times where afterwards you think back and you're like, man, should I have really said anything? But you know what? If you don't say anything at all, then nothing will ever happen. And you are your best advocate, and you have to stand up for yourself. And it is, to a degree, a competition, because you're the only one that can drive your success, and having that mentorship is going to help you find that voice and really and speak up. And you know, no matter what, it's all about getting out of your comfort zone. And there's not much more to say than that, because at the end of the day, that is really truly the answer. And we're not all perfect. We're going to sometimes say the wrong things, and you just have to pick yourself up and move on. And that's the key piece of it.
Disha, is there anything else you'd like to add, or do you feel like everything's been covered?
I feel like both Suneethi and Ali just, gave such a good, whole response. And I think the only other thing I would say is your passion, your engagement comes across. So, and I think it helps you overcome that. Okay, I don't feel comfortable speaking, but I am passionate, I am engaged, and I want to get my point across. So I think people do notice that, and your passion comes across in your work, in all meetings, in every interaction that you have. And in addition, as they already covered, having looking to female leadership, and I think representation is so important. It is so important. I know it's a male dominated industry, but once you do see, okay, I see a VP of, and she's a female, I think I can get there. There's an opportunity for me. And reach out to those people. Don't be afraid. As Suneethi said, just an email, right? And more often than not, you'll get a very encouraging response. And if you don't, okay, you reach out to someone else. That's completely fine. Nothing personal. Yeah, but that's all I have to add.
Yeah. Thank you. This is so great, and we have a question from Harini in the chat that is following up on this, and it's a question that I hear a lot as a leadership coach. She asks, "Do you have any advice for someone who is comfortable speaking up? Love it, and defending project directions and ideas? Great, but repeatedly gets labeled as difficult in an audience full of men when not agreeing with everyone they are asking you, everything that they're asking you to do, right?" I'm sure all of you in your own ways have been faced with this. Do you have a few words of wisdom and specifically actionable steps, which I think are the most helpful to us, that you could offer Harini and our audience today when they're faced with these moments?
Yeah, I think at some point in our lives we've all had that experience. And what I would say is that yes, that can happen, but at the same time, kind of getting stakeholder buy-in. So let's say like you have this project team, and it's doing the homework of, okay, I know these are the people that I'm going to be interacting with, and getting their buy-in beforehand. And so it's not a shock to them when they learn of this new idea or your resistance, because it's backed by facts. Maybe you have a pretty good analysis, and but it's just new to them, so they're not able to relate to it. But maybe if you set up those, you understand, okay, I think I need to build relationship with these people, and maybe outside, you have an interaction with them, and um, maybe you won't be seen difficult anymore, hopefully. That's one. And then secondly, I think it's also the EQ part, right? Like, yes, if you know these ideas will kind of be met with some resistance, some difficulty, then how do I help the audience see what I am seeing? How do I phrase it in a way that is not too harsh? It gives all the facts, but at the same time, pre-thinking, okay, anticipating what are the challenges that I will be met with and preparing for those, right? And then also actively seeking advice from your mentors that, hey, I think this is what I want to do, and I think it won't go over very well. Do you have any advice for me? Do you have any advice on how I can prepare myself, arm myself with these different tools, and maybe um, prepare for it in a way that will help me convey the message in the way that I intend to. So hopefully those small tools help.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Ali, Suneethi, anything to add to that?
I think the only thing I would add from my side is obviously focusing on those tools that you have, but also we are our harshest critics. And at the end of the day, no matter if this is the right thing to say or not, but we're always going to run into those situations where we are considered the difficult ones. And that is something that I think we're going to continue to run into. And I think if we at least know that, as just as Disha said, as long as we go through that and we've done the work, we've met with all of our tools, and we've done our best to try and reach each situation differently, and done the work, then that's all we can tell ourselves, is that we at least tried. And there are just always going to be some situations where you are just, no matter what, considered to be more difficult, and we just have to handle that, and you brush it off and you move forward, and you vent about it to your girlfriends and you move on. So
Mhm.
that's the only piece I would add to that.
Mhm.
Good points made by Ali and Disha. I absolutely echo both of them, but I would say don't let anything dishearten you. Don't let anybody and any one person tell you you are being hard. We know if we have kids or if you are early in your career, we are always given that label. I mean, I'm sure we gave out that label to our parents a lot of times. So just don't let that dishearten you.
Mhm.
Keep marching forward. People will see what you bring to the table. They might say you're hard, but they do recognize it, that you are bringing the right things. If not, they wouldn't even invite you to the meeting.
Mhm.
So
Right.
have that
Yeah.
positive attitude.
I love that, Sumit. They wouldn't invite you to the meeting if they didn't know, right? That says it all. I mean, I love that. I love that. And what I'm hearing is that it's not about you, it's about them very much. And that yes, do like create allyship. Do that work, right? What Disha was saying in the beginning is if you know those people are going to be difficult in the room, what you need to do between meetings to make sure that those meetings are easier on you so that you don't feel like you're getting angry at the situation, but rather can navigate through it. Wonderful, thank you. And speaking of which, Suneethi, you brought up having a family. We have a question that is in some way related to that. Noemi asks, I've been working in the medical device industry for 5 years, and I find it challenging to balance the effort I dedicate to my job with time and energy I need for my professional growth, like a master's or training, without sacrificing personal or family time. Do you have any advice on how to manage this balance effectively? Giant, giant question. Any quick words of advice here for Noemi?
Yes, I myself have gone through this, and every female leader does. I've actually even taken a career break for 7 years. And I'll tell you, the journey wasn't easy when I wanted to come back. The entire industry, every single industry said, no, branded me engineering, you cannot take a break and come back. But I'm going to empower all the people, female leaders, and the people who are attending it. It is possible. I have done it, and that's the only reason I've come to leadership, to empower other women who are taking that career break. But when you are in the career, oftentimes the female employees do come and ask me, hey, would this impact my career? Because now I want to go on a break. I'm getting married, I'm having kids, and I have limitations. I can only work 8 to 5, but would I grow? Yes, absolutely. There is nothing written anywhere saying that you need to work more hours, you need that master's degree, or you need additional training. Take the training. I definitely encourage you, but take it during office hours. Tell your manager that, hey, this is not, nobody is paying you for an overtime. Once in a while, absolutely. If they're consistently asking you to do work overtime, then you should step away from that and find some other place to work.
Hmm.
But you do not need that additional training. Your male counterparts are not asking for that. They're getting promoted. So why would you not be? Just because you have to go pick up a kid for a soccer practice or from school? No, absolutely not. Challenge the system, challenge the HR policies. Go, be partner with them, and look at that and see what you can make a difference for. Believe me, you do not need additional masters and training to grow. You can grow without those.
What I just heard, everyone, is find a leader like Suneethi to work for. Because that was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, we have another question, um, briefly, that is, as a recent PhD grad, I would love to learn more about your journeys transitioning from academia into the industry. How did you translate your skills while networking?
Ali, you want to take it first, or?
Sure, I can. It definitely is you have to think of what you want to do with your career. Academia is a much different aspect than being in industry. And I love to talk to the co-ops that I have had over the years and really understand what do they want to do with their career, because they need to be happy in what they choose, because this is your career. Whether what path you're going to take when you're starting a family and those types of things, obviously things change for us, but you really have to understand what you want to do. And it's not an easy decision, but you have to be willing to start at the bottom. And you may have gone through many years of training and gotten a PhD, but it's about starting at the bottom and putting in that work. And then you will start to excel and succeed. So it's not an easy transition. It's a different lifestyle, I would say, from what academia is, at least from what I have seen and what I've been a part of. But it's taking those opportunities and seeking out whatever you can. And it may be something that you wish you didn't have to do, but all opportunities are only going to help you excel.
I would add to that, academia is a good one, and I think it's very highly regarded in a lot of industries these days. You need to just find the right job. R&D, a lot of R&D companies do have it. If you're going to applied materials, they actually go after and hire academia, because you need physicists, you need people to bring that knowledge to the table. And yes, would you be like directly a manager, a leader? Definitely not, because for that you need MBA or something to come onto the table. But academia, just go for the right industries and they will be hiring, because they are seeking for people with PhDs, because that is what they want. That is the talent they want. And I would say you are way ahead of the game, and bring that innovation onto the front. Show them what you can solve. Like people like Microsoft and other companies too, they are all hiring, believe me, for the right candidate who brings the right vision and strategy.
Mm.
Yeah, I would just, I completely agree, Suneethi. You touched on that point. I know so many companies where in R&D, because you have the subject matter expertise, right? You have the depth of knowledge that is required in R&D, you will be highly sought after. It's just a matter of finding the right industry, the right role, and networking. Even in academia, I know from my experience when I was doing masters, I had professors that had relationships with corporations, people in large corporations, and seek that guidance, ask around. I think academia is highly regarded. That subject matter expertise is highly sought after. So don't be discouraged if it takes longer than usual. But I know, and from what I have seen, the right roles are there.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We only have a few minutes left. This hour has flown by. And at Fairy God Boss, we have observed that, as we've talked about in this conversation already, in some ways, women don't feel comfortable enough bragging or taking ownership of all the amazing things that they achieve. So the three of you have talked about how important that is in our careers. Uh, I'd love for each of you to share a little bit of that with our audience today. So, uh, would you share an accomplishment, and it can be personal or professional, that you are most proud of? Suneethi, will you kick us off?
Yes, I'm most proud of being a leader in Enovis for prevention and recovery. I think being able to develop new products and leading a team to have that vision and then solve the problems and help people feel better has been very rewarding for me. On a personal note, I'm also a mentor, coach, ally, advocate for several people in and outside the company. And I'm willing to do that for anyone on call too if they're interested, because I'm very passionate. The reason I'm a leader is for that purely one reason. I want to empower women and female technically oriented leaders, future leaders, to be able to drive for that success. Be a successful engineer. If you want to be an engineer, if you want to be a leader, whatever that path that you're picking, I really want to empower. And I take a personal satisfaction in that when my teams grow and then become successful themselves. So I'm in touch with several of them already. So I really, that's what gives me the happiness and satisfaction at the end of the day, being able to lead that by example.
Thank you. Aly, how about you?
Sure. So I've had the opportunity to launch many different products over the years, and I would say one of my biggest things that I always was shooting for was to finally launch a product from start to finish that I owned. And I worked hand in hand with the surgeons, and that was the success. Having them see that launch and watching in the OR, that was like, okay, this is great. This is what I've been shooting for. But I do have to say, to kind of add on to what Suneethi said, now it has really been in these past 5 years developing a team and building from scratch of having no one on my team to now a much larger team, and watching them grow and find their voice and sit in different situations and make decisions. That really has been the greatest success that I have seen, of watching others and teaching them along the way. it takes a lot of time. It is a lot of extra hours on top of everything else that we have on our plate. But people say, so why do you still have all those meetings on your calendar? It's important. It's important because we are developing our teams and those around us so that we can be even more successful, because then that really does allow us to take a little bit of a step back because we have people who can make those decisions. And so um, obviously launching products is top of the list and working with amazing surgeons, but really more recently it has definitely been a growing team who really I can see their voices start to pop out.
And Disha?
Yeah, I'm so grateful to be a PMO leader. Leadership is a continuous journey, and PMO is kind of like a strategic driver. So you're, you know, driving all of these projects. And the ability to be able to contribute to the revenue, the direct bottom line of the company, it's a direct impact that you see, and then also having a wonderful team. So being given the privilege to be part of my team's career journey, so empowering them and wherever they want to be in their professional career, playing a small part in it, playing a small role in it. It's such a privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And as we close out today, I'd like to have a lightning round. So, really quick, a few sentences. What would each of you say to your younger selves if you had to give her advice? Aly, let's start with you.
All right. So quickly, I would say seek out opportunities. Don't wait for them to be handed to you. That definitely is a key piece of advice.
Disha?
Yeah, I would, what's already been said, spending less time trying to have all the answers and more time learning about people's stories. So, I used to think I need to prove myself first before reaching out. But, as I grew into my career, I know that connection itself helps you grow and gain confidence. So reach out.
Nice. Thank you. And Suneethi?
Don't wait for perfection. Take the leap. Confidence grows through action, not preparation. Just remember that and think about it a little.
Mm.
You'll reach the end goal.
Thank you. Thank you, Suneethi, Aly, Disha. Such wonderful advice, such wonderful, actionable ideas, and true, honest conversation that we had today. Really, really impactful for everyone tuning in and everyone who's going to watch this moving forward. So thank you. And thanks to all of you who tuned in for this discussion and asked your questions. As we close out today, I want to remind you that the recording will be sent out along with resources to learn more about opportunities at Enovis, which, as we saw with these amazing women today, seems like a pretty fabulous place to work, especially if you get to work with these wonderful panelists. Also, we'd love to hear feedback about today's event to help us improve future events. So please, you can head to the Typeform tab on the right side of your screen and share your thoughts in a quick survey to help us create really impactful events moving forward. Again, Aly, Disha, Suneethi, thank you. And thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.